O.M.G. I can't believe we've reached 100 episodes of the City Girl Savings Podcast. First off, where does the time go? And second, I am so glad I bit the bullet and decided to launch the podcast in January of 2022. I had been contemplating a podcast for a long time, but the timing never felt right. I knew that if I was going to commit to showing up every week, I had to be in a space to do it. So when I took City Girl Savings full time in May of 2021, the podcast felt like the right next step. 100 episodes and nearly 2 years later, I know I made the right choice. And to celebrate 100 episodes, I'm sharing my all-time 10 favorite episodes of the City Girl Savings Podcast and why they made the list. So let's dive in. Welcome to the City Girl Savings Podcast. I'm Raya Reeves, founder and finance coach of City Girl Savings. I turned my life around with budgeting many years ago, and now I'm on a mission to help others do the same. I fully believe that you can enjoy your life on a budget, and this weekly show will focus on the intersection of money and the City Girl lifestyle. Join me every week along with some special guests as I share my experiences, advice, and guidance on navigating life and money as an experience-loving millennial. Now, let me first say that it was incredibly hard to limit my favorites list down to 10, but I did it. And if you have been listening to the show from the beginning, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope that some of the episodes that are on my favorites list made your favorites as well. And if you are new to the show, definitely give these 10 episodes a listen. All of the links will be in the show notes, but they are some good episodes. So let's dive into my all-time 10 favorite episodes in no particular order. Okay, first one, episode number 58, my daily morning routine for boosting productivity. I'm a Virgo, so I love systems, I love routines, I love positive habits, I love productivity and time management. I love all of those things. And so you can imagine my morning routine has played a huge role in like my day-to-day life, but ultimately in my success. Like I have been implementing a morning routine for as long as I can remember. And in this episode, I actually walk through my personal and business morning routines and really share like the impact that they have made on me and my situation. So I loved this episode because I got to tap into that love of routine and systems and productivity, and I share all of that with the listeners. But total sidebar, I actually may make some slight adjustments to my morning routine because I am almost done reading the 5 a.m. Club. And while I already get up early, there are some things that I can kind of shift around in my routine to kind of match up with what they're preaching in the book. I'll have to do another episode kind of walking through how that goes, but definitely a favorite. Next one, episode number 76, breaking down my savings accounts and strategies. So I firmly believe in one savings account per goal, and I have a lot of goals. So therefore, I have a lot of savings accounts. This episode really gives listeners like direct insight into what I'm saving for, why I'm saving for it, how I'm saving for it, and the strategy behind the savings. So I really take the time to go through like all of my goals, my savings accounts, why I'm saving in that particular account, what transfer strategy I have going on, all of that. So I really get like in the weeds and provide the thought process behind why I do what I do with my savings accounts and goals. I actually share all 7 of my primary savings accounts and goals. And I even share like a bonus 8th account or goal that I'm contributing to. So that's why I love that episode. It's very much a strategic, let me hear how a money coach saves and why. And so I break it all down. Next one on the list, episode number 20, Breaking Generational Money Curses with Leah Landaverde. So I've done a lot of interviews on the podcast, so it was hard for me to choose a favorite interview episode, but this one definitely came to my mind first because when I spoke with Leah, who is a Hispanic gay woman, we really talked about how people in underrepresented communities can just totally change their money narrative. Leah breaks down like her story, and it's so inspiring. And I feel like anyone who listens to that episode, like whether you're an immigrant, a minority, you're gay, you're a child of immigrants, or you came from nothing, after listening to that episode, you will really walk away feeling like you have the power to break those generational money curses, because you absolutely do. Leah and I really get vulnerable and share our experiences being, minorities and women of color. And, Leah shares a lot, like she came from immigrants, and she just shares her story, and she's so open and raw and honest. And it was such a great conversation. We really talked about like powering through like tough societal norms and just so much more. So it definitely is one of my all-time favorite episodes, especially interview, because it's so inspiring. All right, next one on the list, episode number 91, 35 money lessons I learned by 35. So this was actually a more recent episode that I did because I just recently turned 35. But this was one of my favorites because a lot of the lessons that I have learned and shared in that episode stems so much deeper than financial. And although the lessons did have like some sort of financial impact, like they were like true like lessons about myself, my mindset, my faith, my spirituality. Like it was so much more than financial. So the lessons are so impactful just because I've been through so much. And I just feel like the older I get, the more powerful the lessons and the less I care about, what anyone thinks about my life, my goals, my finances, right? Like I am just out here being a student of growth and understanding about myself. And I feel like that's really reflected in these episodes, in these lessons. But one of the best money lessons from that episode, I think, is this one. There is no greater feeling than being an independent woman. Knowing that I have my own money, my own savings, my own business, and my own willpower is incredibly rewarding. Like I am choosing to be with my partner. I am choosing to work for myself. Not needing a partner, not needing a boss, not needing anything but myself feels very empowering. So this is absolutely one of my all-time favorite episodes because I get open and honest with some of the experiences that I've had and how it's had an impact just on how and why I am the way I am. Okay, next one. Episode number 1, Big City Spender to City Girl Saver, How City Girl Savings Came to Be. So this was the very first episode of the City Girl Savings podcast. So obviously it will always hold a special place in my heart. I remember when I recorded that episode, I had to redo it multiple times because I was so nervous and you could hear it. But it's one of my favorite episodes, period. Not because it's first, but just because I share my money story like from the beginning. I share my early money experiences, the myriad of money mistakes I've made throughout my late teens and early 20s, my LA days. I shared like my financial rock bottom and how I picked myself back up and ultimately got to a place where I started City Girl Savings. In the episode, I share how I turned my own financial situation around and how I'm now in a position to help others do the same. So it's really a great episode, and it was so rewarding to just share that journey in it. Got a money question you want me to answer on the podcast? I'm starting a new segment on the show called City Girl Solutions, where I answer any questions you have for me. Money, business, life, you name it. Submit your questions at citygirlsavings.com/QA and get your question answered by me in a future episode. And did you know that we have so many free money resources on our blog, Instagram, and TikTok channels? Find us across the internet at City Girl Savings. Next episode, number 41, Pulling Back the Curtain and Getting Intimate. So this was actually my most vulnerable episode of all time. And in fact, it absolutely was the most vulnerable I have ever been, like, across City Girl Savings, like whether it was the blog, the website, social media channels, the podcast, like this was the most vulnerable I have ever been. And in this episode, I took the time to explain like why I am the person I am today, like the experiences I had, the way I thought about things, the mistakes I've made, and so much more. So this was me like getting open and honest on a personal level. So it really didn't have a lot to do with money, just more so like why and how I am who I am. I just really enjoyed being honest, being open in a way that I never had before. And I did it because I wanted listeners to really know and understand me. And I'm so proud of myself for doing that. It wasn't easy, and it's not easy to be vulnerable, even if you are the face of a company, or even if you are the face on social media, or, the person that people see. It's not easy to be vulnerable and open and honest. So that's why this is an all-time favorite and probably always will be. Okay, next one. Number 81, Manifesting Money, Trips, and More with CGS Client Tymika. So Tymika is actually one of my oldest ongoing clients, and the conversations we have in our coaching calls are just always so insightful, like for both of us, not just her, but me too. We really go deep into mindset and thought processes around money. And we basically took a coaching call conversation between us two and recorded a podcast interview. So that's one of the reasons why I love this episode. But in the episode, Tymika shares like how her money mindset has changed over the years of us working together. She shares like how changing her money mindset has allowed her to manifest more than she's ever thought possible. And not just like in financial terms, right? Like we're talking like more money, obviously, but trips, goals she never thought possible, romance, like just so many amazing things have happened over the course of our time together. So, I've been able to see her go through a lot, and it's been so incredible. In the episode, she also shares like her mindset epiphanies, her thought process about money, like before coaching, and how she's just become a happier individual over time. As a coach, I can tell you that like her growth has been so amazing to see. It's been so rewarding, so fulfilling. I am incredibly proud of her. And it's so awesome that she was willing to share her story, and hopefully anyone who listens to it is inspired. Okay, next one. Episode number 10, Conquering the Fear of Failure and Redefining Success. So for me, once I faced my fear of failure and decided to define success on my own terms, I'm telling you, my world changed. I became happier. I became less stressed. I became more goal-driven than ever. And I will admit, I did have this fear of failure. So before I took City Girl Savings full time, I was constantly in this state of, oh my God, well, what if it doesn't work? Or what if the business fails? Or what if I fail? What if I quit my job and things don't work out? I was constantly in that place of fear and scarcity. And so I decided to sit with it. Okay, Raya, if you are really so afraid of failure, let's go there. Let's open that door. If that really does happen, if you quit your job, you take your business full time and you fail, meaning it just doesn't, make enough for you to survive on, or whatever the case may be, what happens? And so I faced it, and I realized that if my business were to go away, I don't have a job, I can go out and get one. I still have my mind, I still have my health, I still have my body. I'm not dead. So this fear that is so debilitating is really for nothing. So facing that fear opened my eyes, number one. But number two, it also allowed me to say, well, okay, that fear really isn't that bad. So what does success look like for me? And when I decided to define success on my own terms, I realized that I already had a lot of the criteria of having a successful life. When I took that weight off my shoulders and realized that, oh, the things that I consider success, I've already accomplished or I'm on the path to accomplish, like, holy cow, like I'm already successful. Making that determination made all the difference for me. And in this episode specifically, I break down how I was able to face my fear, how I went through it instead of running from it. And I share how defining what success looked like for me just totally changed the game. So this is definitely an amazing episode. I mean, conquering the fear of failure and redefining success. Like, how could the episode not be good with a name like that? Definitely a good one. Okay, next one. Episode number 70, my budget non-negotiables. So if you have been in the City Girl Savings community a while, you likely already know that I am a money coach who specializes in budgeting. So just knowing that about me, you can imagine how important I believe a budget is for success. But just because I believe a budget is the number one tool for financial success, and I firmly, with all of my soul, believe that, doesn't mean I don't believe your budget can and should include the things you love. So what do I mean when I say that? A budget absolutely is a necessity for financial success. But for your budget to be successful, it should include the things you love. Like, I am not one of those coaches who says, like, don't you dare have fun. Don't you dare, have a nice coffee. I would never. And I think there's a stigma around budgeting. So in this episode, I actually share some of my budget non-negotiables and how I factor them into my budget, and how in doing so, it has allowed me to let go of any guilt or shame for spending money on those things. Like my iced coffees and my lash extensions. I regularly treat myself to those things, but I don't feel bad about it because it's in my budget. It's budgeted for, and it's a non-negotiable. So in the episode, I share some of the things that are obviously non-negotiables, but also some of the things that I'm actually looking to make non-negotiables. So when my finances get to a different situation, there are other things I want to add to my non-negotiables list, and I share those things. Ultimately, my hope for that episode is that it inspires the listeners to embrace budgeting and to make sure that their budgets include the things they love in moderation, of course. And last, but certainly not least, because again, these were in no particular order, episode number 12, an introduction to travel hacking with travel rewards coach Themis Miles, is one of my favorites. This episode, this conversation with Alina totally opened my eyes to a whole new world of luxury travel on a budget. And you wouldn't think to connect those two, right? Like luxury travel and budget don't usually go together, but Alina shows how it's possible. And it's so funny because I've actually slowly tried to implement the tips that she shared in the episode to travel hack, and it's already shown to be worth the effort. So in the episode, Alina breaks down what travel hacking is all about, what it is, the benefits of it. And she even shares some of her own inspiring stories of travel hacking adventures. And she's had some crazy situations and she's been to some amazing places. So if you love to travel and you want to do so on a budget, you definitely don't want to miss this episode. So there you have it, my all-time 10 favorite episodes of the City Girl Savings podcast. Thank you so much for all the support as we have made our way to 100 episodes. I could not be more blessed and grateful for the response this podcast has received. It's just so amazing. And if you love this podcast, please leave a review. Let me know what some of your favorite episodes are. I would love to know. And here's to the next 100 episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in to City Girl Savings today. I hope you feel empowered and inspired to master your money as you make your way to your dream life. Make sure you subscribe so you're the first to know when a new episode comes out. I truly value your thoughts and feedback, so please leave a review and let me know how this podcast has impacted you. Can't wait to chat soon and make it a great day.